Hello, everyone. Welcome to Crypt Campfire and choose your nightmare of Scamp's adventure.
So last week we had Jack Davis on, head of Crypt TV.
I think the key is how do you set up the turns so that you can have a tonal turn or an emotional turn, but it's actually led into with a character arc, right? Like you can go from camp to slasher, you can go from camp to romance, you can go from gore to emotional drama, as long as the actual thing that are happening to the characters set up why the tone shifts. So that's the fun thing about this format is you can tone shift much more than when you're on a linear story. But just because you can tone shift because of the sort of choose your own adventure of it all, don't take for granted the fact that you can set up that tone shift in the way the story's progressing.
I think we got some really good stuff from Jack as far as just getting some more context around Scamp, around the monster universe, the ethos, and kind of like how do we tell this story in a new, cool, exciting type way. Any kind of pickups from you, Ryan and Alyssa, that you're like, oh, that was really interesting from last week, or anything you picked up so far about this process, where you think it's going, or just anything that hits you kind of top of mind?
I think the way to go is always over the top, and it's the Joe Dante way. If you are given the opportunity to make a sequel, do it all.
Do it all.
Do it all.
I love that. I love that. That's good.
The kitchen sink for sure.
Kitchen
You're right.
sink.
I mean, you are right.
Gremlin.
You are right. Okay.
Well, and it's fantastic because he gave us permission to do it all too, right?
Exactly.
There was nothing that was like off limits. So.
Exactly. No, he was given permission, and then he gave us that permission. He passed off the torch of permission. He was like, listen, for whatever reason, they let me do whatever I want, and now it's your turn.
Jack said, and I quote, "Burn this mother effer to the ground." No, he didn't say that. But I feel like that's what he meant, right? So we can do anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't tell him I said that.
He won't watch this later, don't worry.
He'll cut to the end and see what's the difficult choice. Which, by the way, before we get into it, I do want to say, Alyssa, you'll be proud of me. I did ask my wife about the question
Receipts.
From the first episode, and she said she got it. Basically, I think like Ryan's wife, she would expect me to save the children. So she gave me permission to offer to save the children is where we'll end with that.
See? Yeah.
Stinky.
So,
Mm-mm.
hey,
Well.
I spoke to the boss. The boss has spoken.
All right. I don't know. I'm not going to get into what that says about any of y'all's relationships.
Hey, you don't need to.
Keep that
You
to
don't need
myself.
Well, and now to thousands of other people. I want to dive into the motivations for our three main characters to see kind of what types of conflict they may experience on their road to Vegas and beyond. Basically, like who they really are, what situation can we put them in to push them over the edge in one direction or the other. And these are our basically Candy, the lost baby mama, Rodrigo, the dad who found Scamp, and Scamp. And then, of course, I think we've added a new addition to our lovely family, which is the elderly lady that they kind of stumble upon at the Vegas casino or what have you.
The card
And so those are,
counter.
whatever, however we want that to come about. And so, to give a little refresher, the A storyline that we've been hashing through the last few episodes is basically this. We're picking up with the end of the short, more or less. They're escaping to Vegas, right? The question is, well, why? The reason is because Candy and Rodrigo, thank you, Ryan, for pointing this out, never got married, right? They had a kid, times were tough, they never got around to having a beautiful, perfect wedding. So, what do you do when you just killed a bunch of people and have a bunch of money? You go to Vegas, and, you do some fun stuff, and you get married, right? So, that's where this journey's going, more or less. Now, obviously, we're going to have obstacles and roadblocks along that path, and that's what you're going to help basically choose with us. So, Things we know is Scamp's very hungry. Along the way, they meet, like I said, the old lady potentially. We're calling her, I don't know, what do we call her? Grandma? What is there a name we want to call her? I don't know.
Well, I actually had a thought. I wonder if she could be Candy's mom. Like, what if Candy's mom lives in Vegas and they go, to Vegas to have the wedding, and Candy's mom joins up with them to be, at the wedding.
That's a good tie-in.
Right? And then obviously somewhere along the line, she has to have a shotgun because I want her to carry a shotgun. I think
yes, love it.
Anyway, shotgun wedding.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but continue, please.
Literal shotgun wedding. That makes perfect sense. So
can we name her Muriel after the lady in Courage the Cowardly Dog?
That's awesome. Yes, Muriel.
Okay, okay, her name is Muriel.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
Anything to make Alyssa happy is what we're going to do here, just so everyone's aware. No ifs, buts, and ors about it. So just to kind of finish up, and so where we go with this is, in essence, and this can change, but just to give us a through line of where we're at, they lose everything gambling, right? They had this money, they got a little greedy, lost it all, put it all in black, whatever they did, and Rodrigo decides to plot to sell Scamp, maybe to the circus, to his brother in Texas, something along those lines, and the conflict comes to a boiling point where it gets discovered. Rodrigo, what the hell are you doing? You're trying to sell Scamp. If he finds out, he's going to eat you. He's going to kill us. What do you all of that stuff. And it puts the relationship between the entire family on the fritz, on the brink of collapse, right up until the point they're going to get married. And so at the shotgun wedding, all shit's going to break loose, we presume, right? So that's the a storyline where it feels like it makes some sense from where we were. And we're going to go all kinds of directions around that to see what else we can come up with. I think Ryan had an idea about vampires with friends on the road or something. Oh, yeah. I don't know, all kinds of crazy shit. Right. But it's all feasible in this structure, and that's kind of what the cool part is. So any questions, concerns, Ryan, Alyssa, where we're at, where that kind of a storyline lives?
I'm 50-50 on whether I want Rodrigo to die or not. So I would love to get into all that stuff.
And that's why we're doing this, is because we don't want Ryan to decide. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. We want you, the audience, to decide for yourself in that crucial moment. Don't let Ryan kill him, or let Ryan. Well, I don't care, whichever way.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the point, because the dream, right, with this kind of content and this type of ultimate decision and the power of the people, is to really let the people decide. When the moment of choice is happening between, do I kill this person or not? What does the audience really feel like doing in that moment? Because sometimes they need the cathartic release of, please, she can't take it anymore. She's done. Let her go. And then sometimes they're like, no, fuck that person. They got to go, right? So we want to let the audience kind of feel the direction they want to go. So getting into it, let's start with Scamp. So that's one thing we don't want to lose sight of, I think, in this particular storyline, is it's an opportunity for us to further Scamp's motivation, further Scamp's views on the world. And we even talked about on one of the episodes, maybe potentially hearing Scamp talk from his perspective. And so to dig into more of Scamp, one thing I wanted to ask you two and the audience, if anyone has anything, feel free to drop in the Discord and the comments on YouTube, is Scamp's relationship to his mother. And I think this is going to be important with his relationship with Candy, is how does it affect that relationship with Candy? Because she sees him as her newly adopted baby, right, so to speak, because she just lost the unborn child or what have you. So what is that relationship Scamp has with his mother? Because he seems to be okay with Candy kind of being like, oh, come here, buddy. You're my baby now, right? So what do you guys think?
He was saved by Rodrigo, right? And so there's definitely a bond there of caring. And he was invited into their bed to sleep. I mean, he's automatically sort of accepted. And I feel like if I were in his position and I was alone on my own and friends came along and showed me a friendly time and just that they cared about me, I would accept that willingly because, he's in a strange world. He doesn't know, what the rules are of this world yet, obviously, because he's running around just killing willy-nilly whenever he, gets agitated or whatever. I think his bond with them is a genuine sort of oh, these people are treating me nicely. I'm going to hang out with these folks because these are my friends. These people are taking care of me. And I think that's the way you have to deal with him. It's like it has to be at the most basic emotion, the basic like, what does he need, what does he want, and then like he just immediately answers that question. There's no like, oh well, if I do this, then I got to worry about these people over here, or if I do this, I got to worry about these people over here. No, he just like goes for what he wants, and so I think they meet whatever he needs, and so he sticks with them because that's what they give him. You know what I mean?
Whether or not Scamp and his mom have crash landed, if it was an accident on purpose, if they're escaping together, I think Scamp maybe wants to try being out on his own, and he found this family, and he's like, that's all I need. And I think he's probably in his rebellious teenage years where he's like, I don't need my mom. I can make it on my own. I'll be fine. I can make friends. And she's like, sweetie, you're 7.
I like that idea that Scamp is the rebellious teenager age, because it gives us an opportunity to play his youth on one side, but play the like he thinks he's seen it all other
exactly
side, right?
Yeah
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he knows more than he does,
and maybe that's where we find this arc for Scamp specifically, of him coming into his own, where some of his decisions are being informed as we experience them now, are being informed by his juvenile understanding of this world. And as this episode, this experience progresses, he starts to mature. And so the final decision maybe is an opportunity for us to go, hey Scamp, here's your chance to like grow beyond the instant, I hate you, I'm gonna eat your face if you do anything that's questionable. And maybe that's part of his growth, or not. Maybe you choose. Okay.
sorry.
Bless you.
Bless you. Scamp's relationship with Rodrigo. What happens when Rodrigo betrays him? So to get to the point where Rodrigo potentially is going to betray Scamp, before then, how buddy are they? Like, we know it's in the short, but in the experience of them going to Vegas and all the other angles we want to pursue, what do you all think? Is there like, how deep?
I think that's.
Is it one way or the other?
It's like, it's a little surface level for Rodrigo if he's gonna betray him, because I think that he like gets attached really quickly, and then maybe he realizes, oh, this is a wild animal. Like, this is not a child. This is not the same thing as a child. And we're still, in trouble. We're not out of the woods yet. So he's probably looking for ways to use Scamp to his advantage and be like, listen, this is a wild thing. Like, maybe he doesn't even understand how much feelings Scamp has. He doesn't understand how complex a creature he is.
I like that. And you know where I think we could establish how he really feels is when they lose the money in the casino, let's say. That's when when Rodrigo turns, is the opportunity's been flipped. And now he thinks, he gets the justification, well, I don't need you, you're worthless, you couldn't make me money like I thought you could. And so he starts spinning into you're useless now, so you're disposable. Mm-hmm. And that's where he goes down the tragic hole of trying to sell Scamp off to his cousin, the circus. I don't know. Okay.
That's why I'm 50-50 on him living or dying. You got to think about it, because and this is why this is why I'm 50-50 on it, because the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, like, okay, then, you know, if something bad happens and he immediately writes it off, then like, what kind of person is that, right? And like, it's like the same way you think of like when you're sitting at a restaurant and the person across from you tears down the waiter for bringing them the wrong sandwich, and you're like, whoa, right? Like, what kind of person am I dealing with here exactly? Like, deep down inside, like, who is this person? And so that's like the whole thing for me, is like, when I start thinking about Rodrigo, I'm like, who is he, like, deep down inside? Why did Candy think it was okay for like them to have a baby together? Or was she? And was she sort of on the fence, and that's why they're not married? Maybe it was because like Rodrigo's trying to build this perfect idea of a family, of a relationship, because that's always what he's been vying for. And so he's always trying to like put up this positive front. But the minute something gets in his way, you immediately pull back the curtains and you see this other person that's like the real Rodrigo. And so that's why, as I sit here and think about it, that's always why I'm like, man, we could just kill him off and like Candy and Grandma go on the run with Scamp.
To your point, Ryan, and we're going to get deeper into their relationship next, but what if this experience, this framing of the extension of the short, is a way to frame Rodrigo as the actual monster amongst all of this? Or at least an opportunity to explore that, right? So the assumption is, right, Scamp is the monster. And he is to an extent, but if you consider his position, he's really just taking out bad guys, and he's a furry little, like, he's honestly, like, if you think about it, he's like a dog. He's just like, hey, there's a bad guy, I attack it, get out of here, guy. You're not trying to help us, you're trying to hurt us, right? I mean, is that any different than like a guard dog? I don't really see it. I mean, obviously electricity flying back out and stuff, but maybe Rodrigo is our real quote unquote monster through this process. I don't know. What do you think, Alyssa? I know you were gonna say something, I think.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of flipping that so that, yeah, it's obvious that Scamp is like, he's the monster, but Rodrigo is the real monster, and exploring that, like, humans can be monsters too, and like what aspects of a human, like what does it take for a human to become monstrous? What are their actions that cross over that line?
Ooh. And you know what could be interesting is Rodrigo thinks he's got Scamp under his thumb, like we've seen so far. And what if he says, all right, Scamp, go get that person. Go get their money. And when Scamp's like, huh? But they didn't do anything. And he's like, no, go. Like, I'm telling you, I'm holding the magic bullet. Like, go kill them. Take their shit. And Scamp's like, the fuck's the matter with you?
That's not how this works, yeah.
That's not. And so right there is where we can get the clue of, oh, I see what Rodrigo really is. And it's like, it's just like some homeless person that has a bag of like $2. And it's like,
yeah.
Wait, what? You're gonna stick Scamp on that poor person just sitting on the side of the road, like, for no reason? To take $2? Oh, now I see what you are. So that could be interesting. Scamp's new relationship with Mama Candy, is her name? I'm not even gonna go there. Is her name also a delicious snack? I don't know. What's their relationship like, do you think? So we established the idea currently that Scamp, dressed up as a dog, a service dog, is helping in the casino in some capacity, stumbles into this old lady, and if we go that direction, what does that relationship foster? Or if it's Candy's mom, where's that connection, and how does it diverge away from Candy's and Rodrigo's?
There's a couple things, right? Like, instantly I think of when I have a pet and my parents come to visit and they see the pet and it's like their little fur grandbaby, right? And it's like that. I feel like that's how she would react. Like, they show up with like this thing and she's like, oh, my little grandson, daughter, whatever Scamp is. But the other thing too, though, is like her daughter did just lose a baby. So I think if we go the related route, then that's also another thing that we gotta have to deal with too there. Whereas like if it's just a random old lady, she could just meet this at face value and we could just go off a whole nother thing too. But I don't know, because the other thing too is like Candy definitely has to deal with like the loss of a child.
The loss, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she just like ran out of that situation so fast.
Well, what if, to what you were saying, what if the old lady, so to speak, is a gateway to Scamp's desires, and Candy's a gateway to Scamp's needs? So Scamp like needs that motherly figure. He needs to protect the people who are closest to look out for his like interests as like a little buddy or whatever. But the old lady, she's a little more like, she's gonna feed him the good meals. She's gonna like get him, like, all of Scamp's wildest dreams come true through her, because Mama's not gonna let me do those things. They're not, they're gonna keep me leashed. They're gonna keep me, held tight. And I need that. I need that love and that, consideration as a family dynamic. But my new friend over here, they're gonna show me the ropes. They're gonna let me splurge in my Scamp. I don't know. What does Scamp want to splurge on? Food? I don't know.
Food. Definitely food.
Like,
always food.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the buffet thing we came up with a few episodes ago. Maybe she's the one that introduced them to this buffet, or I don't know. Maybe, and So maybe that's the dynamic, is the family dynamic here, and over here with the old lady becomes kind of like my friend who lets me do the cool stuff that my parents won't let me do.
She lets Scamp gamble.
Scamp's just a degenerate. Let's get into Rodrigo and Candy's relationship, because the short doesn't really give us all of the dynamics because it's a short. How did they meet?
I feel like they're like high school sweethearts or something.
Oh, that's a good idea.
They look like they're in their 30s, though, right?
True.
That's true.
And that's fine. I'm just saying, so they've been together like 15 years.
But then would they randomly have a baby? I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess it could happen. I don't know.
Their relationship's clearly somewhat defined. Like they know each other decently, so they've been together more than like two weeks. We know that.
Right. And I was trying to figure out something, if we could like tie in the car they left behind, right? Because when they come up, like that's kind of like the first thing they notice, that the wheels on the car are gone. And I'm just like, is there a special memory there where they can bond over each other, or like they bond over, and then that kind of keeps them connected with that car? But I don't know.
Trying to keep this PG. I was going to say Conception. I'm trying to keep it PG, Ryan.
No. And I'm just saying, like,
my mind goes to bad places. So instead of that direction, I think you're right. Maybe that was like the first car they got together, like, because they don't have a lot of money. So what if it was, people get a place together, a car together, get a dog together, or whatever. Maybe the car was like their car, like neither of them had a car.
They pooled the money that they each had to get a car so that they could get around.
Yeah. So first, okay, that deepens the relationship a little bit. So again, it seems like, they're gonna have to have been together a few years. It feels like, obviously 9 months. The baby.
She trusts him enough to hop in a cop car and drive off. So.
Yeah, and to just accept the fact that he brought home a little gremlin-like creature that wants to rip people's heads off. She trusts him. I think that's pretty evident.
So they've been through some stuff together, I think.
Yeah, they've been through it. Why didn't they get married before having the baby? Obviously, we know, like, financially probably and stuff like that, but was there something deeper? Was there some drama?
Maybe Rodrigo doesn't believe in marriage.
Rodrigo doesn't believe in marriage. Why Rodrigo? Why not Candy?
Well, I feel like Candy was more open to, like, I feel like she was more emotional about the baby, and like, she wants to make the relationship official and have an official family and like do the things that would codify that. Whereas Rodrigo is like, we don't need a piece of paper. We're doing it.
What if, to humanize Rodrigo, so we're not just continuing to push the envelope that he's a douchebag bastard, is he didn't want to get married before he had something to offer her, even though he got her pregnant. Whoops. But part of the motivation of this, like, going to Vegas, like, we finally have money. I'm gonna show you that I'm worth what I always thought you deserved. And so Rodrigo's brain, and why he gets lost in the wrong direction potentially, is I need to, like, I finally have money. I'm going to a place, I'm gonna get more money, right? Men especially think like this in a lot of ways. And so I can't marry this girl, even though I love her, unless I can show her that, like, hey, I can support us. I have everything you'll ever need. We're gonna be in this together, right? And he finally has that when we go to Vegas, or so he thinks. And so maybe that's what the impetus to, like, let's go to Vegas, let's get married. And she's like, oh my God, yes, I've been waiting for this my entire life.
Yeah.
Right? Because now it's motivated from his own, and we could even have a cute moment where he's talking to the grandma or the old lady, or even talking to Scamp, where Scamp's like, and he's like, yeah. He's like, we never got married because... He's like, no, Scamp, that's not why. And he says, he gives our motivation, then we go, Rodrigo's not so bad. So then when he tries to sell Scamp, we're like, conflicted, right? So that could be interesting. That could give us some depth on Rodrigo. Ryan's freaking out now. He's like, I don't know what to do.
Hear me out. So what if, okay, thinking back to the car, what if they're criminals? What if they are bank robbers together? What if they met trying to rob a bank, and it was like a meet cute situation where they were robbing the same bank and they didn't know each other? They meet that way. That way the car, because they're so frustrated, because that's their getaway car always, right? And so now they can't go out and get more money. They haven't been going out and robbing banks because she's been pregnant. So they're on their last load of like whatever. Although he did mention shoot, because he mentioned to the landlady that something was coming in the next day. That won't work.
He had a job.
Yeah,
Doing
never
something.
mind. That won't work.
He just wasn't making very much money.
Yeah,
Isn't
scratch
what
that
the
idea.
problem was? She was like,
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was.
I love the creativity. I'm not sure. I mean, bank robbers, but they didn't.
Well, the only reason I was going there was because it's like they lead this life where it's like, it's not like a everyday life. It's not a life that's like on the up and up, right? And so suddenly you get this huge amount of cash, and you're like, well, wait a minute, now I can actually provide you a life that's actually legitimate, and we could try to go straight because we have all this money. Let's just go to Vegas. We'll double it. I'll marry you, and we'll go buy that picket fence somewhere with a house with a picket fence somewhere out in the suburbs, something like that. But if he already has a job, he's probably not robbing banks. So never mind. Scratch that.
Well, I mean, it's not.
Doodle is saying in the chat they met because the police crashed a protest Candy was at, and she ran and jumped on Rodrigo's bike and started screaming, "Drive, drive, drive!"
Hey.
Oh my god.
I mean,
that's awesome.
Let's do it. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if we really need it. It's more so just to dig deeper into who they are so we can better define their relationship as we need to explore it.
Totally. And I think that's important too, because I really would like to know why Candy's with him, right? And because I want to know, like, what is that redeeming quality about him that keeps them together? Because as of right now, I'm not looking at him in a positive light, and I want to, but I don't know like what it is.
So, all right, what if? Let's play out. Why is Candy with him? If anybody has any ideas in the Discord or on YouTube, feel free to share. What if Candy is with him because they got pregnant, and he was basically like, I've got to uphold my responsibility. Like, I did this, I'm gonna try to make this work. And maybe they weren't together. Maybe it was just kind of a thing that happened, and then they started to say, well, let's see how this could work if we actually were together. And so we don't know that maybe right away, but maybe that's something we learn about Rodrigo. And so we kind of go, wow, I mean, he stuck around, which, in this day and age, not every, person seems to. So maybe that's a redeeming quality that we can bake into him too, is he tried to make it work. He was like, I made a mistake, but I wanted to remedy my mistake. But then he makes a new mistake, and he's trying to remedy it, but then he's trying to sell Scamp off. And so it's like, wait, dude, you just keep making mistakes. Like, chill. Don't be a dick. I don't know. What do y'all think? Why is Candy with him?
I think it's because he's always trying to find the positive outcome. He's always trying to look for the, you know what I mean? Because he is, like, in this short, he is definitely like trying to keep Candy up. He's always trying to, like,
he'll make the best out of anything. Whatever you have, he will find something to do with it to at least marginally improve the situation.
Right. And maybe that's how they met. Maybe that's the impetus of their relationship. There was some situation where it was just absolute dog shit, and he was popped up right next to her, and he made the best out of it. You know what I mean? And like, she really just like latched onto that one moment, and that has carried their relationship all the way across the finish line.
Why didn't they get married before having a baby? We kind of touched on this, but any kind of definitive vibes we're getting?
Costs money.
Money?
Yeah.
Keep it simple. I mean, it's already framed that way. Yeah. Though, I found out the hard way. It's much cheaper to get married, generally speaking, in another country, a la maybe Europe, maybe South America, in the United States. Just letting you know, for anyone that may be curious in the future, much cheaper, get more bang for your buck. Sorry for anyone that works in the wedding industry. Can't please everybody. So, question: how did they end up in this trailer park together? So I like kind of Ryan's vibe going with this, maybe bank robber element, or Alyssa, protesting, just always being an activist, get in trouble, don't have much money because don't want to work for the man, so to speak. Yeah, how did they end up there? Is there any? And then there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it obviously insinuates that like they don't have money and struggling and all that stuff, but it also can be very economical, to play the counter argument to living in trailer parks. My grandparents lived in a trailer park for a little bit. And it wasn't a real, negative trailer park. It was just mobile homes, and there's friendly people around, and it can be economical. So maybe they're just living, within their means.
I think it's it's a matter of saving up money, right? And that's what they were trying to do, I think. And then she got pregnant, and it's like, as this life continues, and like he's always trying to keep it up, but at the same time, like, expenses are coming out of your pocket, buddy. Like, it's not cheap.
I actually think it's actually very telling to me for today's economic climate that they lived in this trailer park, and like we're still struggling to pay rent, and they seem like both able-bodied, even though she's obviously just had a baby, but how it can be difficult to pay your bills and rent even if you're working and all that kind of stuff. So makes sense to me. All right, here's another question. What is different about how each of them sees money? So obviously money's kind of a through line within this short. Do they both, and they were both pretty excited when they saw the cash that Scamp brought them. But is there a difference in why and how they value money? Obviously, we kind of know if we're going with Rodrigo.
Yeah, maybe one of them sees it more as a means to an end, and one of them's like, no, I really want to, I want to be rich.
Rodrigo.
Well, what? Rodrigo.
Make
him evil so I can kill him.
I want to destroy him. I don't. He's
what if? All right,
nice.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick. What if? So Rodrigo's the one that's gonna make the big error in judgment, so to speak, based on where we're at. But what if the motivations are actually the opposite? That maybe Candy just wants to get loaded rich. She just wants to live the high life. Set it and forget it. Margaritas on the beach. He wants, he's trying to gamble the money and do all this stuff because he wants her to be happy and wants her to not just her, but he wants to throw the wedding. He wants to provide for her, right? He wants to feel like, I did it. I'm a provider, right? That whole shtick. So the potential flip on its head is we think Candy's doing this and Rodrigo's doing that. But at the end, when we discover their real motivations, we're like, wait a second. You want him to just make a ton of money for you. You just don't want him to sell your baby to do it. But you don't really even love him, maybe. Maybe their relationship was really on the fritz for a lot of reasons. Mainly money being one. And now, maybe at the end, she's like, I want to keep Scamp because she can make money off Scamp. And maybe that's the big reversal that we're like, whoa, what? You can't do that. And so we're like, this whole time we're thinking Rodrigo's the, douchey one. And maybe they're both a little bit of a, you just want him for yourself. You were never going to marry me. You were just using me until I didn't work out. And that's the real reason why she's like, you can't sell Scamp. Because deep down she's like, because I need him for myself. No, because they both seem pretty opportunistic. I mean, again, obviously she's sympathetic, but when the money hits the table, everyone dying no longer mattered. If you notice the reactions. So it was like, sweet, now we're good. Get the hell out of here. Which, obviously is interesting.
Okay, so I will say that is a fantastic thought exercise, because it is like, what if she really, really wanted a kid, and as it's getting closer to labor, she's just like, no, I don't want this anymore. I do not want to live this life. This is not what I want. And then so, baby obviously doesn't make it, and then they come home and she's like, I've just been given the biggest pass in my entire life, and this is like a miracle almost. Even though I don't really think that could possibly really happen. I mean, I don't know, because I just feel like if you're gonna stick it almost all the way to the end there, I don't know. That's a tough call.
Yeah, but I think, and yeah.
Go ahead.
And I had an idea too, but then I stopped it and turned it off. I think we want to be careful trying to revise their history. Not that you were trying to do that, Ryan. It's kind of where my brain was going. But I think even if it's subtle, even if it's small, the assumption is she doesn't want to sell Scamp because he's her baby. But I mean, really think about it. Logically, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it's a new dog. She might have a motherly instinct with it. She may like it, but we know it's not your baby. You know it's not your baby, right? So maybe there is a little hint of reversal at the end that gives us a sense of neither of them are perfect. Neither of them are in this for the right reasons, whether with each other or with Scamp and how they want Scamp to be in the fold. And maybe that's the lesson they both need to learn, is the deciding factor if they get married or not is actually framing, are they going to stick together as an entire family, which takes sacrifice and compromise, rather than I get what I want. Okay. Another question, and these are questions that we're somewhat answering as we talk through this. But are they in lust or are they in love? What do we see Rodrigo, Candy, and or were they in one and then it's fallen out and then it's going to come back and we want to play out a different scenario?
I think they're really in love.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be hard to stick it through all this because I feel like they're kind of trauma bonded. Like whatever happened before this, like losing a baby is the worst thing that's happened to them together.
So if we play out they're still in love, that gives us something to use as a counterpoint to any obstacles or contention, is that they're still trying to find the love for each other even as they gamble away their fortune or betray Scamp or do something else that pisses each other off. So that's good. So this is an extension of that question. Are they in the honeymoon phase of their relationship, so to speak? Or have they been together so long, it's like they love each other, but it's just not as intense passion as maybe it once was?
I think they're still mostly in love, and they've probably been together at least like 2 or 3 years. And then I feel like having a baby reignites some of that like new spark because it's a new experience together.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. I think because they were working towards something together, right? They were working to bringing someone a new person into their family, and so it was leading up to this moment where they were expecting to bring home a baby, and so I assume in my mind the backstory here is like they were working together, they were working in tandem, and I think so maybe like okay, so as far as like a backstory goes, maybe not criminals, but like maybe they were like both working at the local Waffle House, and he was like the fry cook and she was like the server, right? And so then they were working together, they drove to work together, they came home together, and then eventually she got pregnant, so she couldn't work there all the time. He's continued working there, and so like they had this goal though that kept them bonded and kept them together. And now shit's hit the fan. Like they didn't come home with a baby, and they've got this crazy monster who's brought them a ton of money, and it's like, okay, well now we have a chance to like go do something we've never done before. There are no rules. Let's just go do whatever we wanted to do and see where it lands. You know what I mean?
Well, and they have extra motivation because they're probably being hunted by the FBI.
That's true too. They're on the run.
So, which actually makes sense for them to like, you either do one of two things, I imagine, if this happens, is you either just go live it up and see how things go, or you go directly into hiding and like, and obviously more people go into hiding, but I think some people that are a little like, screw it, we messed up, just keep going, like let's just enjoy it while it lasts. So that might make sense.
And especially if they feel like they've been playing by the rules for so long that it's like, you know what, I get a little something because I played by the rules and I lost, or you know what I mean, like it didn't go the way I wanted to, and now I have this chance to do whatever I want without any repercussion. And even if I don't do anything, I'm in trouble, so I might as well just go all out. You know what I mean? I think that could be, there's something about that where it's like, even going to Vegas, like Vegas to me is just symbolizing of like, I'm just gonna go all out, like whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and it is what it is. So
yeah, we're definitely gonna have to put that line in the story, just because you have to if you're gonna. I mean,
that's right.
It's right there for us. It'd be funny if we can get Scamp to say, like, Scamp doesn't talk through the whole thing, but then they, like finally at the pivotal moment, they're like, Scamp, we leave it to you. What should we do? And he's like, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Yoda Scamp. Baby Scamp Yoda. I don't know. All right. So that's mostly what I had. Is there anything you two would like to explore in regards to some of the characters and like the backstories, any elements that I feel like we found some good nuggets to meld into the story as we unfold it?
We're still going to talk about Grandma, right? Because, like, Grandma's a wild character.
Yes.
I'm talking, we got to get purple hair. I mean, we got to do the whole shebang. Like, wild glasses with crazy frames. But, I mean, yeah, of course. Like, I don't know if there's anything else we need to talk about, cover here, though.
Well, we did say, and I want to figure out with everybody, she has a secret. What is her, and we talked about it before, but like, what is her secret as it pertains to the current A storyline that we've developed of Rodrigo's betrayal and maybe this reversal with Candy, and they're going to get married, they lose all their money. Who is this woman? And even if it's Candy's
Grandma
mom.
has a secret second family.
What type of secret?
Like, she, I don't know what happened to the dad, if he died or they got divorced, but then she, like, what if she had, like, Grandma has a whole other family in Vegas that Candy doesn't know about. Like, Grandma got remarried and didn't tell anybody.
Dun, dun, dun.
One of those. I see. Okay. How does that affect Scamp? Is the question. So it affects it'll affect Candy. She'll be like, "Whoa, Mama, what's she doing?"
Maybe there's other kids, and then Scamp's got to get along with the other kids.
You know what I kind of want as one of our Choose Your Nightmare dead ends potentially is, and I think I was watching a clip of a horror film. I forget what it's called. The idea that like you meet this family, this picket fence maybe type family, and the kids seem nice. Everyone seems great. And then all of a sudden, Scamp goes on a rampage and eats them all. And you're like, whoa, why did he do that? And he got the baby. And it's like, what a second. What happened? And then we find out, oh, they're part of like a demonic cult. And like, he was doing good for us, right? I don't know how far we want to push that, but that could be like a fun exploration of an opportunity for Scamp to go buck wild, so to speak, on a rampage that then we bring it back to, well, it was somewhat justified.
Wait, sorry. Are we? What are we gonna do about the old woman's relationship with them? Is she a random or is she related? Are we gonna put that a vote, or are we gonna? We're just doing either way.
Let's ask the community first.
Okay, cool.
In general, for the A storyline, what do we think? It'll probably be a choice, but we'll still need one of those choices to probably be part of the A story that continues it.
Okay.
I mean, my gut is it's a new person.
Okay.
As to not convolute the stacked relationships of Candy, Rodrigo, and I don't know, I just feel like it becomes. Whereas if it's a new random person, she can be random. Like she can have weird motivations that don't make sense, and she's just because either she becomes super integral to the main action, or she's a side character that is funny and interesting, right? Whereas if she's the mom, then it's like a big subplot that we have to like make sense of, I feel like.
Okay.
Well, I like the idea. I like that as a choice, and then you see how it plays out. And maybe the mom angle is what we just talked about, is she's actually part of some weird demonic cult, and Scamp takes care of business.
I wasn't sure because the other thing I thought too is like if she is the mom, she's probably been seeing their faces plastered all over the news, right? Because like they're being chased, and so when they get into town, like what is mom's motivation? Is she like there to protect them? Is she like there to turn them in? And then the other thing is like, well, I was gonna say if she's there to protect them, like is she like in the boat of like, well, you know, I don't have much more going on with my life, so I'm gonna go balls to the wall to do whatever I can to protect them. And like, I don't know, I just think I'm sorry, I really want someone to rob a bank, and I feel like it should be her with Scamp next to her. I want a bank robbery. I'll shut my mouth because it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna get it. I'll come up with something different. For
you, Ryan,
but it's like
create a pathway.
Thank you.
Where a bank will be robbed by somebody.
It doesn't even make any sense, so it won't work. But you know what I mean? Like that's the other thing you should think about too. It's like if it is the mom, maybe she has, you know, maybe she is watching the news and she is seeing all this stuff going on. Because you know, my parents are obsessed with the news. So,
yeah, I think a lot of our parents are definitely obsessed with that.
Yeah, they don't miss a beat.
I think that's good for this week. So I want to give a little updates and into our ultimate nightmare choice of the week, a new one. And again, if anybody has any of these, feel free to drop them. Anybody, if you have cool, interesting moral dilemmas. What I want to say is the Miro board we put together with a block of horror and Crypt TV's two different things that they're working on. One is the House Nightmare narrative podcast. The other one is obviously the Crypt Choose Your Nightmare Scamp Adventures. And so the Miro board is basically a way for us to kind of map out where things are in given stories and all that good stuff. So if you go in the Discord, you should be able to access the Miro board, password protected. Some things might be redacted at times as to keep some surprises as they develop. But in general, it's a way for anyone that's kind of new or just want to kind of rehash or see. So we're going to add some pictures and give it some more life in that sphere. You can go check out those things and kind of follow along the process with a visual kind of interpretation, because that's what we'll be using to develop from, more or less. This is time for the ultimate nightmare choice. Alyssa, Ryan, are you ready?
Yeah,
I'm
I
ready.
can't believe it's already been an hour. Like, I want these to like go on
Because
for like
this
3
is
hours.
good. This is
I'm just
good
saying.
material.
Yeah,
We're
I'm ready.
coming up with amazing
Lay it on me.
Scamp adventures. Okay, so this is the question. Let the people you love most meet the most tragic, horrifying, terrible end, like, you know, and Saw, like torture device type stuff. Like, let's say after the age of 70. So like they've lived a pretty full life, but like when they hit 70, they're going into the torture chamber. Or B, choose for them to have never existed in the first place, but like you get your own little like memories of what you've experienced, but they're made up. They're not real because they never existed. So it's kind of a weird spin on this, but I'm curious to hear you talk through it.
Man, your moral dilemmas are always killing people.
Yeah, I don't like
There's
this one.
always
I don't
death.
like it.
This is a tough one. I mean, this is like, because I feel like
It's a moral dilemma. Raise
the
the
last
stakes.
option is basically like, it's like kind of like the definition of a crazy person. It's like you have this.
Yeah, no, they're both pretty bad because it's like
Yeah.
either they never existed or they exist and then later they get hurt. So it's
And they
like
get tortured for existing.
yeah. I'm like, okay,
Man.
I feel like this is like just the baby. Do I want to have a baby? Because I'll have it, but then like life is gonna be bad. Life's gonna be bad. Bad things are gonna happen to them. So do I even want to bring it into the world and know that that's gonna happen, or do I just want to be like, it'd be nice if I did have a baby, but like I don't need to because I know it's all up here.
Well, AI will be able to create your memories of your baby.
Exactly.
for
Okay, so
infinity.
I have AI memory,
And then-
AI baby memories. I'm good. That's it. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
good.
gonna let him live.
Probably.
I'm actually gonna let him live. I'm gonna let him live.
You're gonna
Because
you're gonna save them.
I'm gonna let them, yeah, and meet their horrible end. I think because I think for me it's not my choice on letting them live or not live. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe they want to have like the best like 70 years of their life and then go out, you know, in a horrible mutilated death. I have no idea.
Just midsummer.
That's
Just
very
midsummer,
true.
right off the freaking cliff.
I mean, yeah, it's tough. I could go either direction. I feel like. I mean, to me, the real emphasis is the age. So, like, what's the cutoff? Like, if someone lives to 30, 40, 50, like, at what point is it like, that's okay? Not that it's okay. But I feel like 70 is a pretty big age. Like, we're all gonna go, and a lot of us, it ain't gonna be fun. I don't know. Like, a part of me is like, let them live. Like, I don't know. Is it, like, how bad can it be? Like, it could be bad, but yeah, I would err on the side of, at 70, I would say let them live. When it gets younger, if we start pushing it to 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, then I'm like, maybe what's the point, right? Type of thing.
What's the
So,
point of any of it, though?
honestly, maybe that'll be the question for next week.
That's the question. If anyone figures
Today's
it out.
today's episode of Exploring Scamp Adventures. What's the point of anything?
It just the universe.
Let us
experience
know in
itself,
the
man.
comments.
That's all.
And then
it is.
silence.
Think carefully.
for 1 hour.
Think carefully.
Next week, we'll keep digging in and see where we can come up with, especially these alt scenarios. Now that we have a decent through A storyline, I think we can really start pushing the like vampire crazy stuff. Like, so anyone that's listening, feel free. How messed up can we take some of these alt, maybe dead ends, maybe we infuse it in the A storyline, but these alt storylines around Scamp, based on what you've heard, you know, some creative, cool stuff that we could come up with, pushing
Oh, that's
boundaries, metas, different genres. Like, where's the romance? Where's the comedy? Where's the, like, I don't know.
I'm gonna brainstorm like all week, and I'm just gonna start posting stuff in the chat and just harassing people with all kinds of ideas.
Do it.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody,
Yeah.
do it.
I do
This
love
is-
reading everyone's stuff in the chat.
Ideas.
So yeah, please
I do
keep
too.
posting. It
I know.
really it makes my day every time I see a new scenario.
It's hilarious. Yeah. And so, yeah, appreciate it. And we'll catch you next week. Same time, unless things change. We're looking to try to get a special guest as a part of it. So, yeah, we'll see you at 3:30 Eastern time next week. Unless that changes, we'll let you know. So,
Cool.
Crypt
All right,
out.
appreciate everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you everyone for joining us for another Crypt Campfire in a Choose Your Nightmare, and we'll be back same time next week on Discord. Catch you then.